You don't become a target because the world is dangerous. You become a target because someone calculates that you're the easiest option in their environment. Predators don't look for strength. They look for weakness disguised as routine. They look for distraction, predictable habits, and people who move as if danger is something that happens to others. If you misunderstand that, you lose the fight before it begins. Every person broadcasts signals: posture, pace, focus, emotional leaks. Most people don't control these signals, and predators, trained by desperation or instinct, read them instantly. They're not looking for who you are. They're looking for how easy you look. And the truth is simple. The world doesn't attack the prepared. It attacks the unaware. Most civilians operate under the illusion of passive safety. They trust crowds. They trust noise. They trust the idea that danger announces itself clearly. It doesn't. Real threats appear quietly, commit quickly, and vanish long before help arrives. No camera, no rule, no social norm is going to protect you in the seconds where everything turns. Survival is your responsibility alone. The 8 behaviors you are about to learn aren't dramatic or aggressive. They're subtle recalibrations in the way you exist, invisible adjustments that make you harder to read, harder to approach, harder to exploit. They don't make you intimidating. They make you unprofitable. From this moment on, you stop living on autopilot. You start operating with intent. Every step, every glance, every habit becomes part of your defense. Survival isn't luck. Survival is discipline. And discipline begins with controlling the signals you project the moment you step into the world. Invisible presence is the first behavior that separates a potential victim from a non-profitable target. It's not about appearing strong. It's not about appearing dangerous. Both of those attract attention. Your objective is simpler and far more effective. You want to register as someone who is not worth the effort. Someone who creates no curiosity, no reaction, no opportunity. Someone who moves through the environment without generating exploitable signals. Predators read bodies before they read faces. They watch shoulders, balance, stride length, and tension around the neck and hands. Most people move with emotional leakage. Stress, excitement, distraction, all of it visible in their pace and posture. To eliminate these vulnerabilities, you must create a neutral presentation. That means a controlled pace, not rushed, not slow, but deliberate. Rushing signals panic or disorganization. Slowness signals detachment and low awareness. A calibrated middle ground signals nothing, and that is the goal. Your posture must clear the same bar. A collapsed upper body makes you look fragile. An overly rigid frame makes you look anxious. Instead, you hold a posture that is balanced, aligned, and devoid of tension. Not aggressive, not defensive, simply stable. A stable posture communicates internal control, and internal control is difficult for predators to exploit. Eye behavior is another critical signal. People who stare aggressively look insecure. People who avoid eye contact look unaware. You do neither. You use soft focus, a calm, wide visual field that lets you absorb motion, posture, and proximity without making anyone feel observed. To a predator, soft focus is unsettling. They can't tell what you've noticed or what you've missed. Uncertainty reduces their confidence, and reduced confidence often kills the attack before it starts. Breath also shapes your presence. Erratic breathing reveals fear or agitation. Shallow breathing reveals stress. Controlled breathing reveals nothing. Your breath anchors your body and keeps your signals even. Remember, a predator doesn't need you to speak. Your body already tells them everything. Your job is to tell them nothing. When you enter a new environment, frictionless movement is essential. No abrupt stops, no confused pauses, no indecisive footwork. These micro-hesitations are magnets to opportunistic attackers because they indicate mental drift. Invisible presence means gliding into the space with a rhythm that feels natural yet controlled. You're not trying to blend in. You're trying to become uninteresting. And that is the essence of this behavior. You strip away cues of fear, cues of overconfidence, cues of inattention. Predators hunt signals, and you remove them. When they scan the room looking for the easiest option, their eyes slide past you. Not because you look tough, but because you look like effort. Effort is rarely chosen. Invisible presence isn't about hiding. It's about denying value. And in any predatory environment, nothing repels danger faster than looking like a bad investment. Pattern-breaking mobility is the discipline of destroying the predictability that predators rely on. Every attack, physical, criminal, or opportunistic, requires forecasting. The predator needs to know where you will be, how you move, when you hesitate, and which paths you favor. Most people make this easy. They repeat the same routes. They walk with the same rhythm. They pause at the same places. They move like they are following a script they didn't know they wrote. A predator simply reads the script and exploits it. Your goal is to rewrite that script every day. Predictability is not just about geography. It's behavioral. It's emotional. It's neurological. People on autopilot move with unconscious consistency. They check their phone at the same intervals, drift through intersections the same way, maintain the same blind spots, and respond to obstacles with the same reflexes. Each repeated behavior becomes a point of attack. Pattern-breaking mobility disrupts this entire sequence. Start with your routes. Never let your daily movement form a traceable loop. Change timing, change direction, change the places where you slow down or speed up. Even a small variation forces a predator to recalculate, and predators despise recalculation. They depend on certainty. Remove that certainty and you remove their confidence. But the deeper layer is internal. You must stop moving like someone mentally detached from their environment. Most victims appear physically present, but psychologically absent, walking with a drifting gaze, a distracted mind, and a body disconnected from the space around it. Pattern-breaking mobility requires presence, not tension, not paranoia. Presence. You respond differently to each environment because each environment has different threats and different angles of exposure. Your pauses are another vulnerability. Most people stop at predictable anchors. Doorways, escalator bases, crosswalk edges, bus stops, familiar corners. These predictable pauses create perfect staging points for surveillance or approach. Break the pattern. If you must stop, shift position after a few seconds. If you must check something, change your angle or location. Frictionless unpredictability is your shield. Even indoors, you maintain variation. You choose different aisles, different lines, different entry points. You avoid falling into micro-routines like standing in the same spot while waiting or always turning the same direction inside a building. These small choices create massive tactical ambiguity. A predator cannot track what they cannot anticipate. And here is the critical truth. Unpredictability generates psychological deterrence. A predator does not fear strength. They fear uncertainty. They fear the target who does not follow the script. The target who shifts timing, who alters pace, who doesn't react the way most people do. That unpredictability forces them into a risk calculation, and in most cases, they simply choose someone else. Someone easier, someone readable. Pattern-breaking mobility is not chaos. It is controlled variation. It is the art of ensuring that no one, not a predator, not a stalker, not an opportunist, can ever predict your next step. And when they cannot predict you, they cannot successfully plan against you. Situational compression is the ability to absorb the environment faster than the threat can exploit it. Most people enter a space blind for the first several seconds. Their eyes adjust. Their attention drifts. Their brain struggles to process every detail at once, creating noise instead of clarity. Predators rely on this delay. They strike while the mind is still buffering. Compression removes that delay completely. You see what matters, discard what doesn't, and do it all without revealing that you're scanning. Real awareness is never theatrical. It's controlled. It's quiet. It's internal. Rookie vigilance is obvious. The hard stare, the tense neck, the exaggerated head turns. All of that tells a predator exactly what you're doing and what direction your attention isn't covering. Compression is different. You use soft focus, allowing your peripheral vision to capture movement before your central vision identifies form. You aren't looking for objects. You're reading patterns. You sense flow, tension, stillness, and intent long before the average person realizes anything is wrong. Every room has a rhythm. People entering, leaving, stopping, shifting, creating predictable currents of motion. When something disrupts that rhythm, a sudden stillness, a pause that lasts too long, a person positioned without purpose, your brain marks it. Not with panic, not with fear, but with cold neutrality. You file it under anomaly and continue absorbing the environment. Threats often reveal themselves through what they fail to mimic. Compression trains you to catch that failure instantly. Hands, posture, and proximity are the fastest indicators of danger. You note them without staring. A hand hidden. A bag held unnaturally tight. A body shifting weight to one leg as if preparing to move quickly. A person angling their torso in a way that blocks your path. You don't react externally. Reacting tells the threat you've identified them. Instead, you keep your movements fluid, your face neutral, your pace unchanged. Internally, you adjust your position, recalculate your exits, and prepare for the next 2 seconds, the only seconds that matter. Surfaces become tools. Windows, mirrors, metallic panels, even a darkened car door act as rear-view sensors. You use them to track movement behind you without turning your head. To everyone else, you look relaxed. To a predator, you look unreadable. And unreadable targets are dangerous targets. Compression isn't about scanning everything. It's about analyzing selectively. A predator's hands matter. Their shoes don't. Their direction matters. Their clothing rarely does. Their posture matters. Their height is irrelevant. Knowing what to prioritize prevents cognitive overload. Efficiency is survival, but the real power of situational compression is time. Threats require surprise. Compression steals that surprise. It gives you the half-second shift, the quarter-step angle change, the early recognition that derails the attack before it begins. Survival isn't reacting fast. It's perceiving early. Situational compression turns the world from a blur into a blueprint. And once you can read the blueprint, you stop being a target. Controlled detachment is the discipline that prevents you from being manipulated into conflict, baited into vulnerability, or emotionally steered into predictable reactions. Predators don't always strike with force. Many attack through provocation. Subtle, verbal, or psychological, designed to make you reveal weakness, escalate tension, or break focus. Most people fail here. They respond with pride, irritation, fear, or defensiveness. Emotion turns them into open books. Detachment turns you into a wall. The foundation of controlled detachment is this: you never allow another person to dictate your internal state. Once someone can influence your emotions, they can predict your behavior. And predictable behavior is exploitable behavior. Predators test you long before they commit. A bump, a stare, a comment, an unnecessary question, all of these are probes. They are collecting data. They want to see if you react impulsively or if you maintain control. Detachment does not mean weakness or avoidance. It means refusing to participate in someone else's script. When tension rises around you, your body language stays neutral. No tightening of the jaw. No sudden shift in posture. No emotional spikes that signal insecurity or aggression. When someone pushes for a reaction, you give them flat, efficient non-engagement. You neither challenge nor retreat. You simply deny them the emotional foothold they're looking for. Most conflicts escalate because one party reacts instinctively. A predator expects this. They rely on escalation because escalation narrows your focus and blinds you to the environment. Controlled detachment keeps your field of awareness open. You're not pulled into the tunnel. You remain wide. You remain observant. You remain strategically disengaged. Tone is another weapon when used correctly. People who speak emotionally reveal fear, frustration, or ego. You speak with cold simplicity, short, measured answers when necessary, silence when not. A detached tone does not challenge, does not invite, does not apologize. It communicates one thing: you will not direct me. To a predator, that message is unsettling. They cannot anchor to you. They cannot escalate you. They cannot read you. You must also understand the traps. Some predators use kindness. Some use questions. Some use manufactured confusion or false urgency. Controlled detachment protects you from these manipulation funnels as well. You do not rush. You do not overshare. You do not justify. You do not explain more than necessary. You maintain boundaries without displaying aggression. Calm refusal is stronger than loud resistance. At its core, controlled detachment is about eliminating emotional leakage. Fear leaks, anger leaks, pride leaks. Detachment does not. And without emotional leakage, a predator cannot predict the next move, cannot bait you into a reaction, cannot destabilize your awareness. They lose the ability to shape the encounter. Detachment is not apathy. It is discipline. It preserves your clarity. It prevents escalation. It denies the enemy psychological access. And in urban survival, psychological access is often the first door a predator tries to open. Silent profiling is the ability to identify dangerous individuals before they act, without staring, without signaling awareness, and without tipping your hand. Predators show their intent long before they initiate an attack. Not because they want to, but because the human body cannot fully conceal pre-assault behavior. Most people never notice these signals because they're looking at the wrong things. Faces, clothing, age, attitude. None of that predicts danger. Behavior does. Patterns do. Micro-movements do. The first layer of silent profiling is recognizing predatory focus. Most people look at things. Predators look through things. Their eyes don't wander. They lock, track, measure. Even when they try to appear casual, their gaze checks your distance, your awareness, and your positioning. You don't meet their eyes directly. That gives them data. Instead, you pick up their gaze through peripheral awareness, reflective surfaces, or environmental cues. You see without showing that you see. The second layer is reading body preload. Before any aggressive movement, The body prepares itself. Weight shifts to the balls of the feet. The torso angles slightly. The shoulders drop or tighten. The breathing pattern changes. Hands become the most important indicator. A hand that disappears behind a leg, into a bag, into a pocket, or simply stays too still for too long is a major warning. The hands tell the truth, even when the face lies. Stillness is another giveaway. Not normal stillness, but predatory stillness. The kind that lacks purpose. When someone lingers where no one lingers, hovers near transitions, or positions themselves at choke points without functional reason, you mark them. Threats often reveal themselves by failing to match the flow of the environment. Movement should fit the rhythm of the space. When it doesn't, there is intent behind it. Proximity testing is subtle but common. A predator might drift closer to you than necessary, match your pace, shadow your path, or adjust position to stay behind you. These micro-alignments are not accidents. They are reconnaissance. You register them silently. No looks, no confrontations. Just awareness and repositioning. Another signature is attention masking. When someone pretends to be engaged with a phone, product, or conversation, while their real focus is on you. Most people fail to notice because they interpret the fake action as genuine. Silent profiling sees through the facade. When the body points one direction, but the attention points another, you treat it as a signal. The key to silent profiling is this: you never reveal that you've identified the threat. The moment a predator realizes you see them, they accelerate their timeline or change their tactics. Instead, you maintain invisible presence while adjusting your positioning, increasing distance, or redirecting your movement patterns. You prepare without alerting. Silent profiling turns the invisible visible. It gives you warning before the threat commits. And warning buys time, the only currency that determines whether you evade, counter, or survive. Predictive positioning is the art of placing yourself where danger becomes inefficient. Predators don't strike randomly. They strike where the environment gives them leverage. Blind corners, choke points, crowded transitions, narrow aisles, stairwells, parking structures, and any location where your ability to move, react, or escape is limited. Most people walk straight into these traps because they don't understand the geometry of threat. Predictive positioning teaches you to rearrange that geometry in your favor. The first principle is eliminating the blind zone behind you. Humans are most vulnerable when someone can approach from the rear without detection. In public spaces, you position yourself so your back is protected. A wall, a corner, a barrier, or the natural flow of people. Not in a way that looks tactical or dramatic, but in a way that appears like casual preference. You take the seat with the back facing the wall. You wait against surfaces instead of in open lanes. You stand with visibility, not exposure. Next is exit dominance. Every environment has multiple exits. Doors, escalators, stairways, service corridors. When you enter a space, your awareness quietly catalogs them. You don't stare. You don't scan theatrically. You simply absorb. Predictive positioning means you always place yourself closer to an exit than a potential threat. Distance equals survival. Whoever reaches the exit first controls the engagement, whether that means escape or tactical repositioning. Angles matter. Straight lines are predictable. Curved or diagonal lines create complexity. When moving through a crowd or structure, you avoid walking in perfectly straight paths. Straight lines make interception easy. Diagonal movement forces a predator to adjust timing, distance, and positioning. Every adjustment increases their risk. When you shift angles periodically, You become harder to approach unnoticed. Choke points are the most dangerous spaces in any environment. These include doorways, hallways, bus entrances, narrow store aisles, stairwells, and anywhere people are forced into single-file movement. You never enter a choke point blindly. You pause subtly before crossing, read the flow, and time your entry so you are not compressed between two unknowns. You also avoid stopping inside choke points. Stopping creates a trap with no escape route. Predictive positioning also extends to personal space management. Predators require proximity to act. They test boundaries slowly, drifting just within reach, disguising intent as coincidence. You counter by maintaining a buffer zone, not by stepping away dramatically, but by adjusting your stance, shifting your angle, or moving to a position where objects or people form a natural barrier. You create layers between you and the threat without signaling that you're doing it. In transitional spaces, parking lots, elevators, stairwells, your positioning determines whether an ambush is even possible. You move with purpose, avoid lingering in isolation, and keep your orientation angled so you can see more than one direction at a time. A slight pivot of the torso reveals far more than turning your head. Predictive positioning transforms the environment from a danger amplifier into a force multiplier. You're not avoiding threats, you're reshaping the battlefield so the threat loses its advantage before it ever decides to act. Asset obscurity is the discipline of removing every incentive a predator has to choose you. Most attacks begin with assessment. Before a predator commits, they evaluate what they might gain: money, technology, jewelry, information, status, or the perceived ease of controlling you. If your visible value is high and your defenses appear low, you become a profitable target. Asset obscurity flips that equation. You make yourself appear low value while remaining fully capable. The first rule is simple: never advertise your assets. Most people reveal more than they realize. Expensive phones, designer accessories, visible cash, flashy gadgets, loud conversations about money, showing the lock screen of their banking apps, or even wearing clothing that signals wealth. All of these behaviors turn you into a reward. Predators prefer victims with visible returns. When you reduce visible returns, you fall off their radar. Obscurity also applies to behavior. People who walk with entitlement or visible confidence signal possession. Possessions, connections, or resources worth exploiting. People who overshare signal vulnerabilities. You avoid both. Your demeanor is neutral, disciplined, and controlled. You neither look insecure nor important. You look like someone with nothing to take and no reason to be challenged. Your capabilities must also remain hidden. Skill display, whether physical, tactical, or professional, invites unwanted curiosity. Predators sometimes target strong individuals for status or challenge. Others target skilled individuals to neutralize them before acting. You don't flex. You don't posture. You don't reveal strength. Competence is something you conceal, not broadcast. Digital assets matter too. Phones and devices reveal wealth instantly. Most people expose them recklessly, holding them high, using them while walking, flashing notifications, or pulling them out in transitional spaces. Asset obscurity means using low visibility patterns. Device stays in concealed pockets, notifications face inward, and you avoid unnecessary tech exposure in public. If someone can assess your value at a glance, you've already lost. Conversation is another leak. Anything you say in public is data for someone listening. Your affiliations, routines, travel plans, workplace, home address, or personal problems, all of it can be exploited. You speak with precision. You share nothing that opens a door for exploitation. Silence is not secrecy. Silence is strategy. Even your movement should avoid signaling possession. People often adjust their posture when carrying something valuable, tightening their arm, touching pockets, checking bags. Predators watch for these tells. You eliminate them. Your body language remains identical whether you carry something expensive or nothing at all. Asset obscurity is not about living small. It's about removing incentives. When you reveal no wealth, no weakness, and no predictable assets, predators lose interest. You don't look profitable. You don't look easy. You look like work. And work is something predators avoid. An OpSec integrated lifestyle is the point where survival behavior stops being something you do and becomes something you are. Most people treat security as a reaction, something activated only when they feel unsafe. That mindset guarantees vulnerability. OpSec integration means your habits, routines, and decisions automatically reduce risk without effort or conscious thought. Security becomes a background process running at all times. The foundation is consistency, not predictable behavior, but predictable discipline. You check what others ignore. You lock what others assume safe. You verify what others trust blindly. These micro-actions accumulate into a system that makes exploitation nearly impossible. You don't wait for danger to appear before you adjust. You live pre-adjusted. Daily OpSec is built from small, invisible habits. Before entering any environment, your mind performs automatic environmental checks. Exits, flow patterns, congestion points. Before leaving, you confirm you're not being shadowed by pacing, angle shifts, or proximity repetition. You don't move dramatically, and you don't make it obvious. These checks are silent, fast, and woven into your natural rhythm. Information control becomes instinctive. You don't announce your schedule. You don't reveal your routines. You don't share personal details with strangers or acquaintances who haven't earned trust. You understand that the most dangerous attacks begin long before physical contact, and most of them begin with information someone gave away casually. You protect your data the same way you protect your physical space. Your home, vehicle, and digital life operate on the same principles. You don't rely on default settings. You maintain layers, locks, visibility control, lighting patterns, device privacy, and behavior concealment. None of it is extreme. All of it is deliberate. You remove assumptions and replace them with verification. The key to OpSec integration is subtlety. These habits become invisible to others. You don't appear paranoid, tactical, or hypervigilant. You appear normal, because the best security is the kind no one notices. A predator evaluating you sees nothing exploitable. No gaps, no tells, no obvious weaknesses, just a person who is consistently inconvenient to target. An OpSec integrated lifestyle isn't a performance. It's not stress, it's not fear, it's controlled awareness shaped into habit. Once integrated, it requires no more effort than breathing, yet it shields your entire life from manipulation, targeting, and exploitation. This is the point where you stop surviving by chance and start surviving by design. Survival is not an accident. It's not a gift, and it's never the result of luck. Survival is the outcome of disciplined decisions repeated so consistently that they become indistinguishable from instinct. Everything you've learned, invisible presence, pattern-breaking mobility, situational compression, controlled detachment, silent profiling, predictive positioning, asset obscurity, and OpSec integration, forms a complete operating system. Not tactics, not tricks, a mentality calibrated for a world where threat exists whether you acknowledge it or not. Most people drift through life hoping danger never notices them. Hope is not a strategy. Visibility, predictability, emotional volatility, and careless habits are invitations, signals that broadcast vulnerability to anyone searching for it. You've dismantled those invitations, one behavior at a time, and in doing so, you've shifted from being shaped by the environment to shaping it, from reacting to anticipating, from being readable to being indecipherable. The truth is simple. Predators avoid complexity. They avoid resistance. They avoid uncertainty. When you master these 8 behaviors, you become all 3 at once. You become the person who is never where they expect, never feeling what they want, never giving the cues they rely on. You are no longer the easy option. You are no longer the profitable choice. You are effort, and effort is rarely targeted. This journey doesn't end with awareness. It ends with transformation. A life lived with intent is a life protected from exploitation. And now, you no longer survive by accident. You survive because you've chosen to become the kind of person danger regrets approaching.